Today is October 13th, 2021. I am in desperate need of some access to cash. I had from Chase, my job at J.P.Morgan Chase, a few shares left. And so it says at the bottom of this statement something about CIA. So without the account number being whatever, it says on here it's CIA, Chase Insurance Agency. Interesting. Did not know they were affiliated with banking, but here we are. So, and there, without putting my address and my account number out, look at me. It's J.P. Morgan. So with that being said, I just called. I was on the phone, recorded phone line. I said eins, zwei, drei. I actually did drei instead of drei, for those that get mad when I change. So make a little tribal nuance for my own purpose. So I also mentioned Pandora paper as key up word for the transaction I was doing. It was only 3 shares that I was liquidating. And it was also, I said, un, deux, trois. So this way I had 2 languages plus English confirmation for the 3. For 3. So, that's that. I also tied in the Pandora paper because I heard that on the news. I also heard Havana syndrome on the news today. Today's the day officially on my news that William Shatner went to orbital, which made big headline. I also confirmed with some of the NYPD 111th precinct. I also confirmed on my way home. My son was there. And there was a group of NYPD officers standing outside. I mentioned to them, I said, you know, he was at school all day, so he missed it. I was like, but it'll be all over the news tonight. So, and one of the police officers says, I'm sure it'll be all over the interwebs too. And I said, yeah, we don't do internet. I said, but the news media for tonight, it'll be on and he'll be able to see it, which will be nice. And that's it. So I confirmed for them, I don't have computer. I don't go searching or trolling the internet for whatever. Plus I have the CIA agency inbound call unit on my private account. That is not a luxurious whatever. It stands for what it is, and it's all I have left in the world as far as bank relation. And it's one bank connection. So that's that. Also, by the way, I was at the Marie Curie Park in Bayside Station, where I'm currently Coptically working the boulevard in my mom in black outfit, and protecting my son and myself as best as I can, with some occurrences going on showing that I'm showing signs of wear and tear with an environment and weather pattern that's not so nice. And I ran into a child that normally is at the park. His dad has been friendly with me before. He reminds me of a comedian, one of my favorite comedians actually, on TV. It's Joe Coy, I think. Joe Coy. So anyway, but this gentleman, who goes by Mo, his little son he is one of my favorite personalities that I've met in humans. He just has this effervescence about him from spiritual world. And Mo always jokes, he's like, he's in his own world. I go, yes, I know, I live in his world, and I'm one of the protectors. And so, the boy, which I cannot remember his real name, he calls me Rapunzel. He says, "Are you a princess?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "What is your real name?" And so I said, "Nicole," and which is nickel, by the way, which is 5 cents in actuality, in the U.S. dollhouse system. So he said, "No, you're not. You're Rapunzel." He says, "You're so beautiful." He says, "I want to marry you." And he grabs my hand and he like pulled me away. And I said, "My goodness." I mean, he has this. I said, "Don't you remember you sat with me one day on a bench and you told me all about your spiritual world and you knew that I lived there with you?" And so he had gone on and on and on about this wonderful thing. And so that's what I traverse, is his non-technology entrance in Generation Z, which should give time frame for those that have holes in really big universal places, where there are still quality that needs to be looked after, but it's a dangerous toggle between explaining who we are and how we are and whatnot. But he is a local that has been coming, and he plays in it. He's in a different age. I mean, like, he's within the age bracket of my son, but he has a different group of friends, which is fine. I don't push my son on anybody ever. If it's whatever, it's whatever. But I did enjoy my time, so I really appreciate his one personality, because he just stands out so much from the rest of the children as having some spark of like something different, which I know in spiritual realm it's really very important. And I believe his father said they are the descendants of Filipino. So without me being able to recognize it, there's no reference for that community for me here. So I'm going on his beseeched. That's what he said to me, but I cannot confirm or deny if that's the identity he provided. So I believe him. I have no reason not to believe him. But I know in larger Rapagal places, sometimes the identities get upset. I don't know quite why, but I just want to make a footnote on that to protect myself, because I'm still in this Oort cloud with only people's word and face value to take them on, which may turn out to be something on a different record system, different, but again, that's between ancient records, antecedent records, transient records, and now these modernity records, since there's been a whole transcendence of time and space and almost like a shuffle and a rearrangement. And I don't want to upset any specific population, but I've also noticed some things are missing that used to be, and it sometimes, when it gets pointed out in symbology and in clicks, it tends at times to aggravate people. So I try to stay on a, I'm not getting involved in that argument just yet. If that's what you're saying it is, just write it the way you believe it. And I have other safety issues to be concerned about at the moment, like my son being paralyzed in the middle of New York City Park, in the radiological park, losing, just like, it looks like he just went blank and spaced out, is what I call it, zoned out or spaced out, and then just urinated, lost all bladder control. That's a bigger problem for me at 9, with the idea of radiological attacks on biology, which I'm just observing my own personal attacks that I've been attacked by others. I call mine Havana syndrome. I've heard confirmation on the news that they know it exists, and I've also witnessed my own children being attacked at several different times. And that's the extent of my involvement in these sorts of things. I have to think about this. So it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. I'm still within this symbolic system, which is where I met him, but apparently in spiritual world, he refers to my version of princess as Rapunzel. And I know in Rapunzel, in American mythology, or whichever mythology Disney, or I don't know if it's part of Disney Princess package, Rapunzel, or if that's just Fables, Fables. Actually, no, it's probably Fables. And there's Aesop Fables, Aesop, Fables. I don't know if Rapunzel's one of the Aesop Fables, but I know it's one of the nursery rhymes, stories. I don't know which part of Cosmic Nursery put it out in the North America, in New York, but it's Rapunzel, let down your hair, because I always have my hair covered, as best as I can for an American New York woman, and then I wear the scarf around my neck so I don't frighten people in Christian territory, since I have no religious affiliation whatsoever while I'm here, because there's other issues going on at the occult, and the horse and the nickel. So that's about that for the moment. To time my portion of I am really being hurt, and it's really serious stuff. It could have been avoided, but there's some other stuff must be going on in the background between the North Americans, the Central Americans, the South Americans, and some tie-in of Latin America within this time frame that I'm unaware of, and I'm unable to claw my way into some safety unit. So I'm just doing like a single solo thing and observing over the little genetic copies I made in my own genome printing, copying, scanning machine in Copenhagen, Scandinavian, whatever genetic I fall into, categorically, since it's not like a normal way to speak of children, but I am trying to be a little different, discreet, and, oh, also, on CNN, same thing as Havana syndrome coming out when I had the conversation with Llewellyn, mentions Sioux City, SIOUX, City, FALLS. Don't know what that's about. I hear there's something called a Mount Rushmore, and there's also something called a South Dakota. South Dakota, I know, is a state. What I heard is their state is different than all the other states in the lower 48, because South Dakota does not have a generational something or other, which is extremely important, and they're supposed to have a non-disclosure something or other. So this way things don't change and they stay exactly as they should, because some of the other states had some kind of generational pass forward thing where you lose some kind of security, and I don't know why any of you would participate in this, but you lose your estate security as you go forward from generation to generation. So between my grandfather and my father, and then my appearance, there would have been some loss of genetic security under what they're publicizing on this publication, but I've never even heard of that before. But they did make a mention of Sioux City, that it's not generational, that it stands no matter what, to protect, which Lou and Lynn were getting all mad at, and I'm like, well, that's their general interpretation. That must be what's programmed into their antenna receivership. But that's a problem, because if you don't have this solid security financial rock of Sioux City and South Dakota, how do you protect your genetic everything in your personal identity when it's under such broad spectrum attack from every angle? You have to have one rock of security. So that would be, I suppose, Mount Rushmore and South Dakota, I'm assuming. But I don't know how any of that works. Again, this is all news to me on CNN in the year, century 20, decade 2 plus 1 year. and I arrived in Century 19, Decade 7, plus 8 years. In some generational gap, and that football guy, Nate, that sits next to Gayle King and next to the Tony DICOPLA guy on the CBS2 this morning, the talk of the table, that guy, the Nate guy, who apparently played football, plays football, something he mentioned Vikings this morning, he said he's got some CD collection. I have no idea what that means. Is that the backwards DC? Is that where you try to turn over so this way you take over discreetly other people's Monopoly pieces? I'm just curious because I hear these things sometimes, but it's a little confusing as to who's actually catching on and going to protect me throughout this entire disgusting arrangement with humanity. So that happened. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Again, it's *1978, *8378, no Kolkata Rusa.